Happy Saturday, everyone. Josh of Severe Weather. We've got a big update here coming with a major storm in the Rockies getting ready to cross the plains tonight and head into the Northeast early next week. Big time temperature changes, big time weather changes coming with us, and lots of impacts expected. Here's a look at what I'm tracking for you guys. Snow falling today, tonight, into tomorrow on the Front Range down into Northwest Texas, and then spreading across the Central Plains into the Ohio Valley heading into Monday. Those areas aren't going to see a ton of snow, but there's some potential for a decent amount of snow in a few of these spots. As this system, though, merges with some colder air dropping down, potential for a major snowfall, the biggest of the season so far for parts of the Northeast, not far from New York City and into Western New England. At the same time, we're going to see severe weather down south, a threat for more tornadoes expected here tomorrow into perhaps Monday across parts of the deep south. So a lot to unpack here in today's video. And so let's get right to it. Here's a look at the current storm setup here. This is the water vapor image from tropicaltidbits.com. And I'm going to show you kind of where our main feature is right now, circulating near Vegas and Phoenix, upper level low, and a very deep trough sending moisture across the southern and eastern United States. A lot of cloud cover here, but a lot of mild air in place with a big region of high pressure. And that is leading to some near to even slightly above record values today for high temperatures. But there is a trough of low pressure digging down this direction, and that is going to help this storm system turn colder aloft. And as these two features merge, you got this one coming this way and this one coming this way. We've got the potential for this system to become a bomb cyclone as it leaves New England and moves into the Maritimes of Canada. Bomb cyclone meaning the pressure is going to drop 30 millibars or more in about 24 hours. And with that, we're going to see significant amounts of snow on the back end of this storm as it's leaving. We're also going to see a lot of wave action and then a lot of colder air to follow for Tuesday night and Wednesday. So record temperatures possible in this region today, followed by below average temperatures in a few days. It will certainly come to a shock to many of you. So get ready for that. Right now, we do have winter storm warnings in effect in the areas in pink from parts of Nebraska and Wyoming down through Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. And we do have winter weather advisories in purple all the way down into southeastern Arizona, mainly the higher terrain here. Winter storm watch over southwest Oklahoma, and then back towards the Lubbock, Texas area of the southern panhandle here. That is for tomorrow, as we're going to see a change over to winter weather. Pretty quiet on the hazards map for now in the east, but I do expect that's going to start to change. And I'm going to break some of that down for you here in just a minute. This is a look at the upper level chart, and the colder colors, the blues and the purples, indicate troughs of low pressure and colder air aloft and more instability. The brighter colors, the yellows and the oranges, indicate warmer air aloft and the ridges that are in place with respect to average. So the brighter colors meaning we have stronger ridges than average, stronger pressure than average than this time of the year. And as we look here at tomorrow into Monday, we see the storm system carving very quickly a path across the south, meaning we're going to see very unsettled weather, fast wind flow aloft, and likely severe weather south and east of this low track. But at the same time, as this upper low moves up into the mid-Atlantic region Monday night, Tuesday morning, we have another feature that's going to drop in behind it and inject some colder air behind it. And the two are going to start to phase as we get to Tuesday night and Wednesday. If this phasing had occurred maybe 12 hours sooner, this would be a major northeast storm for New York, Philly, and DC. But the cold air is a little bit too late for that to happen. At least right now, that's what it appears like. However, for New England, Connecticut, upstate New York, northeastern PA, there'll be enough cold air here for temperatures to crash and conditions to get very bad very quickly here Tuesday morning as the storm is leaving. And then, oh, by the way, this is going to bring another blizzard to parts of Atlantic Canada, parts of Newfoundland, Sable Island, maybe PEI, parts of Nova Scotia are in for a major snowstorm as everything comes together here on the backside for Wednesday into early Thursday. Now, after that, we are going to briefly warm back up, but you'll see there are more storm systems set to crash into the west Wednesday and Thursday. A large area of high pressure building here into Yukon, the Northwest Territory, and Alaska. And that's going to allow some colder air to start dropping down later next week. And by President's Day weekend, next weekend, a lot of the country is going to be below average. So we're not going to be dealing with severe weather at that point. We're instead going to be dealing with unsettled weather across the south, much colder weather across the north, and the possibility for more storm systems to bring winter weather here. So winter's certainly not over. A little too soon to give you too much detail on that at this point, but it is what I'll be tracking behind our storm for the second part of next week, and in particular next weekend and beyond. Multiple storm threats will likely continue. Here's a look at our temperature anomalies. Bright colors indicating much above average temperatures, but those are going to get wiped out Tuesday and Wednesday as this colder air drops down into the eastern U.S. A brief warm up coming later next week before another shot of more significant cold by next weekend. This will start in the Rockies and in Western Canada, and then we'll build south and east here for the later part of the month of February. So overall, I think we are still in a pretty good shot to at least see enough cold air to support snow here in the Appalachians. In the deep south, some uncertainty on that, of course. I'm not going to try to predict something 10, 15 days out. Y'all know that's not going to happen, at least not with accuracy. But certainly, this is what we do like to see for at least a better chance for winter weather. I know I've said that a few times, and it does take a lot for this to happen, as you guys probably understand, especially the last two winters. But anytime we've got this kind of cold spreading south and east, all it takes is one storm to come up and bring a winter storm to parts of the southeast. So that is still on the table here later in the month of February. Let's look right now at the shorter term. This is the European model from pivotalweather.com. Big rainstorm from Texas into the mid-Atlantic region, Kentucky getting a lot of rain today. We're going to see the next wave right behind it over the deep south, and this will bring more heavy rain and severe weather with it on the warm side. Cold air in place for some winter weather here tomorrow night into Monday morning in the Ozarks. And then this low is going to strengthen. It's going to hit the mountains just east of Charleston, West Virginia, Monday night. And then a new low pressure system takes over and then starts to bomb out very quickly. At the same time, you see this big high bringing colder air down from the Hudson Bay into eastern Canada and into the Northeast. And as that hits the backside of our storm, we are going to see pretty much a nor'easter. It's not going to go right up into Maine and New Brunswick like a traditional nor'easter. This one's cutting more easterly, but it's strengthening on the way out. It's producing winter weather with it. Behind it, some quieter weather for a couple of days, and then another blast of cold coming down. We'll see some winter weather over the upper Midwest later next week. More rain expected down south, and next weekend we could have another storm, but this one's going to be across the southeast. There could be some severe weather with it across Florida and maybe southern Louisiana, but primarily a colder, nastier setup for heavy amounts of rain over the south here by Friday into Saturday. So that's what we'll be tracking. The GFS model is now trickling in here. I didn't want to wait till the whole thing came in. Honestly, after 10 days, who cares anyway, right? But here's a look. And you can see our two-piece system. Piece one moving through the mid-Atlantic tonight and tomorrow morning. Piece two gathering here. Pretty significant snow possible tomorrow evening in parts of Oklahoma. Rain and severe weather tomorrow night in parts of the deep south. That continues Monday into the southeast and then moves off the coast tomorrow, Monday night. And then quieter weather Tuesday for the south. It'll be turning drier and much cooler. But of course, we're going to be dealing with a significant storm here across the northeast. And I'm going to zoom in and show you what I'm looking at as far as the potential for who's going to potentially get some major snowfall out of this. That'll be leaving Tuesday night. Quieter weather Wednesday to be a cold, windy day, but dry across the northeast Wednesday. Another clipper could move through here on Thursday and Thursday night. And then we see the next wave of cold, which the GFS is certainly not shy about here, dropping all the way down into North Texas and Oklahoma this time next weekend, Friday night into early Saturday. And another storm system taking shape over the Gulf Coast here, just like the European is showing. My model doesn't go beyond that. That's okay, because it really is a guess at that point. But with this low pressure and the cold coming down, we could be in for some interesting forecasting over parts of the Mid-South into the Carolinas and Virginia by the time we get into next weekend. So stay tuned for that. That's my hook for you guys. Here is a look at the European from earlier today and just kind of showing you what's going to come together here in the Northeast. Here is the timeline we're looking at. Rain moves into the Mason-Dixon area Monday evening. And then as colder air moves down, it changes to snow over central Pennsylvania. It may, though, be rain in Pittsburgh, Morgantown on south, snow in the mountains for late Monday evening. Then Tuesday morning, an area of heavier snow spreads east over central PA and then over into the Poconos. And eventually we're going to see snow picking up in intensity across New England, with the exception maybe of Cape Cod, the islands, and Long Island. There we're going to be dealing with a mix. We're kind of right on the rain snow line if you believe the European model, but as this low moves out, that should change back over to all snow. Temperatures will drop. They may still be near or just above freezing in the morning Tuesday, but snow could be coming down very hard. So we may still get a few inches of heavy wet snow on Long Island, across central Jersey, maybe even to the north suburbs of Philly and Wilmington early in the day Tuesday before this wraps up. Tuesday afternoon, it looks like the low starts to pull away and snow winds down from west to east, from early afternoon in Rhode Island and Connecticut to late afternoon and early evening on the Maine seacoast and across Massachusetts. And then it's game on for Nova Scotia Tuesday evening into Tuesday night. And then late Tuesday night and Wednesday, big time snow expected over parts of Newfoundland. And as this low continues to deepen and bomb out, it'll bring enough mild air up the Atlantic for this to shift over to rain in St. John's, Newfoundland. So for those of you who may be watching there, I didn't want to ignore you guys, but take a look at this tightly packed isobar pattern. We have 955 millibars here, 1025 over here. There's going to be quite a bit of wind blasting Tuesday night and Wednesday. I would not love to be on top of Mount Washington because they're probably going to see winds over 140 miles per hour out of this kind of regime. So major cold to follow here. Here's a look at the GFS, same region, newer model that is just starting to trickle in here. We see rain moving across the Carolinas and Virginia Sunday, and especially Sunday night and Monday. There'll be some heavy rain here. And then our main low pressure system on the GFS is moving up to about Parkersburg and Wheeling here Monday evening. And that should bring us maybe a wintry mix going over to rain around Pittsburgh, maybe a little snow at the onset in Johnstown and Altoona and northward towards Du Bois. As we get, though, into very early in the day on Tuesday, we are going to see this push of cold competing with this low. The low is bringing milder air up into places like Philly and New York, but the colder air is seeping down here. You see this bright purple, that indicates very heavy, wet snow, and that could get all the way down close to Howard County, Maryland here. Certainly Hagerstown into maybe Frederick could see a quick thumping of some heavy, wet snow with temperatures starting to drop back down close to freezing. The timeline on that's going to be about 3, 4, 5 in the morning on Tuesday. So Tuesday could be interesting trying to get the kids to school in central Maryland. And I think in Pennsylvania, we are going to have some closings or at least some delays. Later in the morning on Tuesday, we see the heavy snow shifting into the Hudson Valley, northwestern New Jersey, and maybe even as far south as places like Nyack and Sleepy Hollow. As we get into late Tuesday morning, the heaviest snow rates are expected to shift east of New York into Connecticut, southern Mass, Rhode Island, and perhaps even on Long Island. You see this bright purple shading here on parts of Suffolk County here. We could see a quick thumping of snow, and that may continue into the afternoon, depending on where this low deepens. It is certainly trending a little later in the pattern than it did a few days ago, but still getting its act together in time for this to be a big snowfall for parts of Cape Cod here Tuesday afternoon. Maine is going to get clipped. New Hampshire will get clipped. There'll be some snow, especially the southern parts of those states, but the heavier amounts should stay over parts of Massachusetts, maybe around Foxborough, Quincy, over to Plymouth, perhaps. And then very heavy snow coming very close to the Nova Scotia coastline here later Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. Heavy snow spreads into Newfoundland. The GFS is farther offshore, farther south than the European. The European would be a snow lover's dream across Atlantic Canada, whereas the GFS is kind of a swing and a miss. I mean, you may get whiffed with a little bit of snow, but the worst of it stays offshore. And then, of course, we have the cold to follow here. So that's what we're looking at. Lots of rain coming over the next 5 days. Amounts may get up to 4 or 5 inches here. Raven County, Georgia, upstate, Pickens, Oconee counties here in South Carolina, Brevard, Transylvania County here, Western North Carolina. Unfortunately, this is all liquid, no snow expected. Maybe some heavy rain as well across Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and the Ark-La-Miss region here, 3 to 4 inches possible. And up to Philly and DC and Baltimore, the potential, I'm making fun of myself, the potential to see at least 1.5 inches of rain. So a very nasty wet storm expected here over the next 3 to 4 days. Winter storm impacts right now look to be greatest on the Front Range and then down to just north and east of Lubbock, maybe say Plainview, Texas, over to close to Wichita Falls. Then we see moderate impacts in the Ozarks here later tomorrow night and Monday morning. Some impact over Ohio, southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, and then things start ramping up across Pennsylvania, northwest Jersey, into the interior of New England. This is through day 3, so this stops at 7 a.m. Tuesday. There will be higher impacts after 7 a.m. Tuesday, and here's a look at that. And we see enhanced rates of snow expected just north and west of New York City, Bergen County, over into the Somerset area, the Poconos here, Hazleton, up to places like Middletown, New York, Newburgh, over to Waterbury, Connecticut, Hartford, Providence, Tolland, Connecticut, up to Worcester, just west of Boston, Cambridge, up to Lowell, Mass, all have a decent chance of seeing enough snow that we're going to have to plow the roads over here. 6 inches plus potentially. A lot of that comes here Tuesday morning west of the Delaware, late Tuesday morning into early Tuesday afternoon on the I-87 corridor. Tuesday afternoon in Connecticut, late Tuesday afternoon, the worst of it should be impacting the Boston suburbs, Providence, and getting down maybe closer to New Bedford as well. Here's a look at snow totals. According to the European high res here, potentially 3 or 4 inches around Denver, especially Parker on south, less to the north. Potentially 2 to 4 inches here in Oklahoma City. And again, a lot of this may not stick initially, so we'll just have to see when it falls heaviest. At night, certainly it could stick and then melt quickly. But potentially 6 or more inches around Plainview, Texas, maybe even 9 inches back in the mountains of New Mexico. Higher elevations, of course, could see more than that. Spreading farther east, we do see some snow potential along the Ohio River, and the European says we get to near Cincinnati and Louisville, we're talking 3 or maybe 4 inches of snow, perhaps even 5 or 6 on the Indiana side here. Indianapolis, though, is going to be a very close call, maybe a near miss. Same for St. Louis. Columbus could see a little snow, higher amounts towards Zanesville, and then higher amounts across Pennsylvania. And I don't know if this 5 is going to fall in Pittsburgh. I would not be shocked if it were closer to 2 or 3, just to be honest with you guys, from what I've seen. Here's a look farther east on the European model, and this is where the totals start climbing. Close to a foot in Altoona and State College, maybe more back around Clearfield, potentially a foot or more in Hazleton, North Jersey, the potential to see 12, 13, 14 inches. The Kushera may be a little overdone. How much actually sticks will probably be about 70, 80% of this, due to the fact that ground temperatures are not going to be quite near freezing when it starts, but they will get there during the day on Tuesday. So I think the big winners somewhere in Massachusetts or Connecticut, but I would not be shocked if it got closer to places like New Rochelle and Yonkers, where we did end up with at least 6 inches. I don't know about a foot, but certainly 6 inches. But nonetheless, biggest storm so far this winter. It's going to certainly shut things down for a couple of days. Looking at Atlantic Canada, we do have the potential for 20 to 30 centimeters for PEI and Nova Scotia, higher amounts on Cape Sable, or Sable Island, I should say. New Brunswick, though, this largely misses you. The Gaspé Peninsula gets some, and then Newfoundland, only up in the north do we really see those good snowfall amounts, 40, 50 centimeters, possibly even more. Temperatures are going to drop very quickly here tomorrow. We're going to see drops of up to 20 degrees from this time today around upstate New York into western PA. Big drops in Texas as well. So much colder air is coming very quickly behind this storm. Monday, we see temperatures dropping very quickly over Louisiana into the Ozarks region, a 20-degree temperature drop. Tuesday, a big drop across the southeast. The morning of Mardi Gras is going to be quite a bit cooler than the evening on Monday, and then much cooler across the eastern seaboard. But it will start to warm back up a little bit here Wednesday and Thursday before this next wave drops down on Friday across the upper Midwest. We're looking at record high potential. All these squares indicate record highs expected today, according to the National Weather Service. 60 degrees in Boston, 64 in Atlantic City, 60 around Reading, Pennsylvania, 59 around Albany. Not record highs in the southeast, but certainly well above average. Tomorrow, though, that dream comes to an end for us in the northeast. We're back into the 40s, closer to average, a little above average, but getting colder. 80s in Florida, those 70s on the Gulf Coast. Here's early next week. Monday, we're back down, still well above average, but cooler across the I-95 corridor, 40s and low 50s, 60 in Raleigh. It'll start turning cooler by evening. Still a very warm day across Florida, but back in Louisiana, it's cooling off very quickly. Then take a look at Tuesday. Our high temperatures may start the day in the mid-30s around New York and Philly. So a cold rain here, but it could go over to snow as temperatures drop closer to freezing here. And then much colder as we get into Wednesday. Take a look at this. Teens and 20s in New England, low to mid-30s, possibly lower than this if there is a fresh snowpack, which I think there will be. But we do see some rebounding in temperatures again across the south on Wednesday. So it does start warming back up at that point. We do need to talk about this severe weather threat that's coming. Take a look at this trough. We've already seen surprise severe weather events under marginal risks with tornadoes in the upper Midwest Thursday, a little bit of tornado action last night in Arkansas as well, and severe weather overnight in Kentucky and Indiana. So we have seen some severe weather in places maybe we weren't expecting it. I did think there was a chance, but I think maybe people weren't expecting it to be as bad as it ended up being. Just sometimes in a marginal risk, you still have that risk. I do think, though, we're going to see things picking up quickly here tomorrow and tomorrow night. With this wind flow, we do have a slight risk, and I think enhanced maybe on the table here for later tomorrow night into the day Monday in parts of the South. I'm going to break down where I think that's going to happen here in just a second. Here's a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks. Today, we've got a slight risk and maybe some big hail over parts of central Texas, marginal risk into Louisiana and central Mississippi. And you can see that hail risk here, Bernie, Texas, to the Hill Country, San Antonio, all under the risk of big time hail through tonight. Now, tomorrow, this is where I think things may get an upgrade. We'll have to see, but there's certainly a good amount of moisture in place, fast wind flow aloft. The instability is a little bit more marginal, but that hasn't stopped things so far this week. So I do think we could see an enhanced risk, not a moderate, but an enhanced risk somewhere in here, maybe near Baton Rouge, Alexandria, East Texas, over to near Jackson into Western Alabama. Slight risk for Sunday night across Southeast Louisiana over to the Mobile area. That is what I think will happen, but we'll have to wait and see. As we get into Monday, I think we may see that continue into Eastern Alabama, Southern and Central Georgia, possibly the Florida Panhandle. And then the risk for severe weather towards the afternoon, evening is potentially going to carry into the low country of South Carolina, even places like the PD River Basin, maybe even into the Fayetteville and Lumberton areas here on Monday evening. But I think we'll start to see things generally trend downwards as we get to Monday night. Florida has a risk for some severe weather as well, especially I-10 on northward. In the evening, I think the chance starts coming down. But hey, just be on the lookout here, just in case. If you're in Ocala, Tampa, Crystal River, and those areas. By Tuesday, though, I think our threat for severe weather does wind down. This is the datocast. I found this on Twitter. Tonight, we do have maybe a 5% chance of a tornado, especially around Jackson, Mississippi, and then over into central Texas. Tomorrow, we are looking at, I think, a better chance. This 30% area from the SIPs, we need to keep an eye on. This is just statistics at this point. But looking at the setup, statistically speaking, that's the area that will be under the gun here, potentially for an enhanced risk. You can see at least a 5 to 10% chance of tornadoes here in central and southern parts of Mississippi, and then overnight into Alabama as well. And that risk does continue on Monday into central and southern Georgia, southeast Alabama, and maybe even the Florida border counties here. So maybe an enhanced risk coming for this area again. So we'll have to keep a look at that. Here's the RRFS model real fast. I got to move through quickly here. This is this afternoon, severe weather possible across central Texas. And then that moves into Louisiana, Mississippi, and kind of wanes overnight tonight. But another wave comes tomorrow morning, big time hail possible here, according to the RRFS. And then tomorrow afternoon, northern Louisiana and then Mississippi get hit. And this is when the tornado chance climbs. And then as we head into the overnight hours, that moves across Alabama. Then we may see another wave after that. I'll zoom in for you guys to see the updraft helicity. This is where thunderstorms could rotate and cause some damage. And this is just one model, but you can see multiple tracks over the hill country here tonight and tomorrow morning, also across central Texas into Louisiana tomorrow, and into Mississippi tomorrow afternoon, into tomorrow evening, into Alabama as well. Here's a closer look at things across Texas. Multiple waves of showers and storms, but really the nastier weather, it looks like it holds off until overnight in the Big Sky country. Tomorrow morning around I-35, then tomorrow afternoon, Tyler, Lufkin on eastward into Shreveport, and then we'll start cooling down and turning more settled after that in South Texas here. We will see scattered showers and storms, maybe heavy rainfall through tonight, more big hail possible around Austin, Round Rock, Bernie, Texas here overnight into early tomorrow, moving towards College Station and Lufkin in the morning, and then spreading east and moving out of the Houston area in time for the afternoon and for the big game here tomorrow night. In Louisiana, we will see rounds of heavy rain, maybe flooding, and maybe isolated severe weather through this evening. And then that shifts towards places like Vicksburg and Tallulah here late this evening, towards Alexandria, all the way down to Bunkie and Marksville, and then across Mississippi. Then we see another wave tomorrow, which could be more intense. I do think we may see a stronger tornado or two somewhere across this region here tomorrow afternoon. This is the area that this time of the year we'll often see that happen. Again, there's a lot of competing factors, but there are also some factors that definitely give us that threat. So I would rather you guys take it a little bit more seriously and it ends up busting than the other way around here. But there is a risk for a stronger tornado somewhere in this region. And maybe even into the evening down in the Florida parishes into Mississippi here. So something to keep an eye on before things quiet down Monday. We are going to see rounds of storms here across Mississippi, Alabama, into Georgia here the next 2 days. The best chance for severe weather looks to be late this evening near I-20, and then actually a better chance tomorrow, starting in the afternoon in Mississippi, and then spreading into the western parts of Alabama and maybe central Alabama in the evening tomorrow, and then possibly another wave in southeast Alabama Monday morning, especially early on in the day. So again, I'm going to try to fine tune this for you guys in Monday's video. It'd already be past Mississippi at that point, but Georgia and Alabama, you guys definitely need to be watching things here. You'll have heavy rain in the central and northern part of the state through tomorrow. And then I think the severe weather is going to start to move in early in the day Monday. And then our best chance for some tornadoes will be across areas near Atlanta on down to Macon, Albany, Statesboro, and Augusta Monday afternoon. And again, this is just one model, so don't get too fixated on it, but certainly that's what we're watching. This is another model. This is the NAM, only because the RRFS is out of range at this point. And we do see some heavy storms possible late tomorrow night in the Panhandle, moving into Georgia, and then another wave comes through in the morning Monday, and maybe a little bit of severe weather possibility here over north central Florida here Monday afternoon before things exit in the evening. So stay tuned on that one. We'll have a better idea here later tomorrow. I'm taking that day off though, unless there's something extreme, but I'll give you guys updates. A video expected here Monday morning as I continue to get back to full health. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the Northeast and you love snow, well, get excited for it. If you're in the South, you need to have your head on a swivel here for this severe weather threat. Please consider becoming a subscriber if you haven't already. Share with your friends if you could. I very much would appreciate that. I thank you guys for your time. You mean a lot to me. And I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who gives me the strength to do this and gives me the promise of grace and eternal life. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. If anybody needed some soul restoration, it was me. I had a tough couple of weeks. I know a lot of you guys are going through difficult times as well, so I would love to pray for you, knowing that the Lord provides for us. He is a great God. He has given me this platform to share with you guys and bless you. And that's exactly what I do, why I do what I do. So happy to pray for you guys, but I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch up with you again early next week. Take care.